This is a treat. This is so good. These flavors, a little bit of bitter from these amazing greens. You've got the sweet from the caramelized onions with that balsamic vinegar. A little hint of beer from the beer cheese, the Gouda, the crusty roll. Like, wow, so good. I can't make a habit of eating this all the time either though. So this is definitely a treat for me. All right, so first things first, I'm prepping this broccoli rabe. If you have never had broccoli rabe before, it can be bitterish, and so I like to trim off these really thick stems. And it's funny, when I first started making broccoli rabe, like I would get rid of everything, like these leaves even that come off the side. Like, let me show you. So the broccoli rabe plant looks like this, and I was trimming off this and this and only keeping this part and then trimming off a big portion of this stem. That could be where the bitter stuff comes from. So I would buy these bunches of broccoli rabe, and you know, it's a pretty big bunch, and then at the end of it all I'd have was like this little tiny amount. And similar to spinach, it does cook down quite a lot. I mean, not as much as spinach, but then my boyfriend was like, why the heck are you throwing out all of that stuff? Like, just make it, all of it, and see what happens. And so I did, and it was totally fine. So I only trim off now this little nubby at the bottom, like the real hard, thick stalk, and I keep everything else, even those leaves on the side. So I'm just trimming off the little stalk at the bottom, like the hard nubby part, but I am keeping the rest. Now I do have a pot of boiling water going, and that's what's gonna kind of get some of that bitterish out. Some people don't boil their broccoli rabe first, but I definitely do. And I do it for like about 3 minutes, and then I plunge it into some cold water and then start the sauteing process. And I think I decided, in the interest of just like time and me filming all of these parts of it, like I'm not gonna film the caramelized onions or the making of the beer cheese. That's Gaz's recipe. I'm gonna link to all those recipes below. So if you guys wanna go ahead and, you know, make those components of the recipe, I'm showing you my part of the recipe, and then we'll just put it all together and make this awesome sandwich. I had really good intentions when I woke up. I was like out of the gate running. Now I'm like, whew, I'm ready for a nap. All right, so I've got my caramelized onions going. I actually have some leftover beer cheese from last week because I made this last weekend. That's how much I love this. So at least I'm off the hook with having to make more of that, but you guys definitely go make that so we can put this all together. I usually have shallots that I cook with my garlic for the broccoli rabe, but I don't have any. So I'm just gonna use some regular onion, mushrooms, and garlic. Now, I don't really love getting garlic like this, although it is easier. Here it is. Definitely, if you do buy it this way, make sure that you get it from USA, because just like look at a YouTube video about garlic from China. It's absolutely disgusting. Definitely buy garlic that has been grown in the USA, and you'll find out why. All right, so just get those mushrooms and onions cooking down over a medium-high heat with that garlic. Again, I don't use oil when I cook. My seasoned cast iron pan really has enough, not to mention the moisture from the veg is totally enough to make sure that none of this stuff is gonna stick. And like I said, I add in Swiss chard. Optional. Here I go with my salt again. Pepper, a little bit of pepper. I like a big pinch of crushed red pepper in mine. Give it a little kick. And I add a little bit more garlic powder. And just kind of let this really cook down. Okay, so check this out. Here we've got the broccoli rabe with the Swiss chard. You can see how much that cooked down. Like, that's really a small portion. Usually I do 2 to 3 bunches of broccoli rabe, but today I only did 1. I've got my caramelized onion, and over here I've reheated up my leftover beer cheese from last week. Okay, so now that I reek like onions from those caramelized onions, like that stuff just clings in your clothes and on your hair. So just be prepared for that if you are gonna cook up the onions. All right, so let's get to making this delicious sandwich. All of our components are ready. Let's see, can you see this over here? Here is my crusty roll. Now, you guys, like, I don't need to do all of these carbs, so I actually hollow out a good portion of this bread. I want like chock full of greens and all this other good stuff. I don't need all of this fluffy bread, so I actually opt for pulling out some of the fluff out of these rolls. And I'm trading out some of that fluffy bread for a piece of this vegan smoked Gouda. And I'm gonna pop it in the toaster. And we can feed the birdies and the squirrels outside with this extra bread. Oh my God, don't feed the birds bread. You'll give them diabetes. Yum, look at that. All right, so there's my toasted Gouda cheese bread. I then put a nice hefty portion of this beer cheese, Gaz's recipe for beer cheese. This is the best part of it, I think, really. All of it together is really so good. All right, there goes my broccoli rabe. And now my balsamic caramelized onions. I need a close-up on that. And this is the hardest part. The lighting in here is so terrible, and for me to get any kind of decent pictures for my blog to share this recipe, this is the hardest part. And I'm hungry, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on taking the pictures. So I got really mad. All right, I'm digging into this. You guys, I invented this with Gaz's recipe for cheese, caramelized onions, his little spin on the rarebit. This is my spin on it. It is so freaking good. You guys are gonna love this. And you know what I was gonna say? If you don't want to go through all the trouble of making this sandwich with all of these additional recipes, just make the broccoli rabe as like a side dish or a main dish. Like, I eat that just by itself a lot. But if you want to go the extra mile and make something really delicious, you should definitely try this sandwich. This is a treat. This is so good. These flavors, a little bit of bitter from these amazing greens. You've got the sweet from the caramelized onions with that balsamic vinegar. A little hint of beer from the beer cheese, the Gouda, the crusty roll. Like, wow, so good. I can't make a habit of eating this all the time either though. So this is definitely a treat for me. It is good. A little bit messy, but I love a messy sandwich. All right, I'm gonna get really tired, even more tired than I am after I eat this whole thing. So I'm gonna have to take a little rest. I promise I'll pick up the banana cake for you guys for tomorrow. I'm gonna film it tonight, but I'll put it out for you tomorrow. We gotta pace ourselves with all this food. Funniest thing I saw so far was a meme going around Facebook that said, okay, so how does this work? After this quarantine is over, do I contact the producers of my 600-pound life, or do they call me? Like, how does this work? We gotta keep it moving, you guys. We definitely don't need to be eating as many calories as we were before all of this happened. I have to keep reminding myself that as well. So after this total treat of a meal, we're gonna clean it back up, keep moving with those workouts, and I will catch you guys again tomorrow.